If this episode makes you think, please let us know in the comments and support us by subscribing and leaving a review. Thank you. Today we are exploring the very real feelings of anxiety that AI is stirring up in young people and what that means for us as educators. What the data tells us is quite striking, with a Gallup and Lumina Foundation survey of US students finding that a remarkable 47% had seriously considered changing their major because of AI's potential impact on the job market, and 16% had already gone ahead and done it. Those are big numbers, aren't they? I was really struck by this recently, actually, when I had the chance to sit down with Justin Spelhaug. He's the president of Microsoft Elevate, which is this huge 5-year effort by Microsoft to credential around 20 million people for the AI economy. So you can imagine he's probably one of the most powerful optimists in education technology out there. But when I asked him about the e-chef AI education anxiety, that's bubbling up in students, I expected him to give me some kind of easy reassurance. He really didn't. What he actually said surprised me. He brought it right down to a personal level. He said his own daughter, who's in university right now, is grappling with these very same fears about her future job prospects. He mentioned how many commencement speeches lately are echoing this sentiment. Students are genuinely scared about what AI means for their careers. And here's the bit that really got me thinking. He told me he thinks that fear is rational. He wasn't trying to argue his daughter out of it. He understands where it's coming from. First off, let's talk about why this fear is rational and what it means for the future of education AI. It's not just a hunch or an emotional reaction. The data backs it up. Beyond that Gallup and Lumina Foundation survey, we're already seeing tangible disruption. Justin pointed to fields like translation, freelance writing, and even software development, where the changes are clearly visible. An independent analysis, like a study out of Stanford University, found that early career workers in the most AI-exposed occupations, including software engineering, have seen about a 13% relative drop in employment since late 2022. That's a huge signal for an 18-year-old trying to decide what to study, isn't it? It suggests a job market that's really tough for new entrants right now. But here's where Justin Spelhaug pivots, and it's a pivot I think we as educators need to make too. He absolutely refuses to catastrophize. He acknowledges the fear is real, but he argues that fear, if left alone, tends to misread the moment. He put it so well, saying, "We have a habit of overestimating the power of technology and underestimating the capability of humans. AI will be disruptive, no doubt, but it's also going to create new opportunities." He even mentioned that the skills most jobs require have already changed by about a quarter since 2015, and LinkedIn projects that 70% of those skills will change by 2030, with AI as the catalyst. So the work itself isn't vanishing, it's shifting, it's moving. Now here's where we pivot to what this actually means for how we equip our students. If the ground beneath our feet is constantly moving, then are schools really drilling students on the right things? Justin's argument is that the point was never to teach young people how to operate a specific tool. The durable skill, he argues, isn't technical. Think about it. The half-life of any specific technical competency seems to be collapsing, doesn't it? So what we really need to build in our students is the capacity to keep reorienting themselves as the map of the world redraws itself. He calls it equipping people with the skills and knowledge to navigate themselves. This really resonates with my core belief that AI literacy isn't about technical skill. It's about collaborative reasoning, understanding AI limitations, and developing reflective awareness. We should be teaching students not to outsmart machines, but to outthink them. He framed this essential shift for schools beautifully, describing it as moving from a system efficient at transmission of knowledge to one that truly builds deep capacity. He gave these fantastic analogies. How do you help someone move from being a writer to an editor? Or from playing one instrument to conducting an orchestra? Or from being a position player to a coach? The common thread in all of those, he says, is what he calls metacognitive capabilities, thinking about thinking, creativity, insight. These are the human-centered skills he believes that AI will not automate. He sees these as the skills that truly define careers, create companies, and change history, alongside fostering this insatiable appetite for lifelong learning in our graduates. For an anxious student, that's a genuinely useful reframe. Stop hunting for the major AI can't touch, and instead bet on your ability to keep learning whatever comes next. This is about ensuring our students have the right AI skills for teachers. To impart, focusing on process and productive struggle. The third big takeaway for educators, and this is a really uncomfortable truth, is the danger of misplaced confidence. Justin described research that Microsoft ran with Digital Promise, tracking around 500 undergraduates who used AI to learn without a proper pedagogy or program behind it. What they found was that these students' confidence climbed, but their actual knowledge didn't. He called it misplaced confidence, saying they weren't truly learning. Now that should send a shiver down the spine of anyone who's preparing young people to walk into a tough job market, shouldn't it? Microsoft's own researchers saw an echo of this in a 2025 study presented at the CHI conference, where they found that the more knowledge workers trusted AI, the less critical thinking they applied. Misplaced confidence is the absolute worst companion for a graduate who needs to be genuinely good at something, not just feel good about it. This is why the human in the loop principle is so vital. AI outputs are drafts requiring critical review, not sources of truth. We need to design learning that cannot be faked because it demands depth, care, and imagination, focusing on the 3 Ps of assessment: product, process, and performance. If you're finding this conversation useful, please consider following or subscribing to the podcast. We regularly share insights and strategies on AI in education that are designed to spark your imagination and help you navigate this evolving landscape. And then there's the crucial role of us, the teachers, and what this means for the impact of AI on students. Justin Spelhaug has lived a version of this story before. He told me he was among the first people involved in the one laptop per child initiative back in the early 2000s. That dream of putting a cheap computer in every child's hands. He said the lesson from that initiative scarred him. He saw so many of those laptops just become doorstops within 6 months because providing a tool to a student does nothing. His verdict on our current AI moment is identical. AI is no different. It's just another tool. For any school leader or department head who's panicking about how to prepare students for this volatile economy, that really reframes the whole task, doesn't it? The job isn't about procurement, it's about people. He explicitly said, it actually starts with a teacher. It starts with building the right level of capacity with teachers. Microsoft, through its Elevate for Educators program, has credentialed 2 million teachers in the past year, and in Spain they've skilled and credentialed 14% of all teachers, a share he wants at 100%. This is about purpose over technology, starting with why we're doing something, not just how. It aligns perfectly with the Activate and Aim High lessons from my 7 Lessons for AI Adoption framework, empowering teachers as change agents and giving them back time and energy to connect with students. Finally, what about the bigger picture and this question of who owns the upside? This is an ethical strand that rarely surfaces in education conversations, but it cuts straight to why students are scared, and it's essential for our discussions around AI literacy for educators. As AI learns from how people work, Justin says, the real question is who actually captures the value it creates. The design imperative, in his view, is to protect the IP of the student, the individual, the company, and to prevent the consolidation of that intellectual property in the hands of a few AI companies. He made the case that a student's interactions with an AI model should stay with that student, rather than quietly enriching the vendor. This isn't just a competitive positioning for Microsoft, it's a principle that speaks directly to that underlying anxiety. It's about protecting human agency and the dignity of work and human potential, creating a future where people can truly take advantage of their ideas and their businesses, instead of just watching the returns flow to a handful of platforms. This resonates so strongly with our ethical non-negotiables: data privacy, transparency, and human accountability for AI-assisted decisions. We want AI to be an equalizer, not a tool that widens gaps, especially for the middle 80%. Justin Spelhaug is candid about all of this. He admits that the evidence is early and uneven, and he said again, the fear is real. He's not trying to talk anyone out of it. His case, and I think our case as educators, is much narrower and much harder. That fear only truly becomes dangerous when it makes students freeze, or when it pushes them toward tools that make them feel capable without actually making them so. This brings us back to his daughter and to every student in our classrooms. The question he's really putting to every parent and every teacher is the one he's living himself. Not how to calm young people down, but whether schools will hand them the one thing that genuinely steadies a person when the economy keeps shifting under their feet: the ability to keep learning and to navigate themselves. His hope, he told me, is simple, that in the end, what AI ends up doing is making us more human, not less. That's all for today. Thanks for listening.